My darling, darling, beautiful sis. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. How are
It's
you?
so, I am very well, thank you. It's so good to have you
Thank
on Real
you.
Life Reflections. I know we've been looking for a suitable date for both
Mhm.
of us, and I'm happy that we are finally making it work. And like I always say at the beginning, I am very selective about the people I bring on Real Life Reflections. I like to bring people that spend time to reflect basically about life, career, business, parenting, all the areas of life. And they're able to see what has worked for them, what hasn't worked for them, and also pass this message to other people that can benefit from their story. I met you fully this year, and in that short period of time, through our many conversations, I've learned a lot from you. And I thought, no, I cannot hide or keep this gold to myself. I have to share it with the world.
As a gold digger that you are.
Yes, yes, yes. That I have to share with the world. So thank you for coming. I would like you to, for the benefit of those that are seeing you for the first time that don't know anything about you, can you say a little bit about yourself and why people should stay on? Why they should watch this episode to the end?
All right. Thank you, Debola. Thanks for having me. It's such a big pleasure. I've seen a couple of the episodes, and I have even learned from the people that you've spoken to. And like always, I always have a thing or two to learn from you.
Oh,
As you're
thank
digging
you.
gold, I'm digging gold from you as well.
That's so good.
So, to everyone watching, my name is Ramat or Dayo. I always say it depends on how you know me to know what to call me. The people that call me Ramat are people from my job. And then Dayo, if someone calls me Dayo, then that's someone that knows me from home. Yeah, so I'm a mom. I'm an engineer. I've been an engineer for most of my career. I just recently moved to program management. So currently, I'm a senior technical program manager at Boost Mobile here in the US. So let's see. I think that's about it. I've just been like a techie person all of my life. Yeah.
Thank you. I think from that response, I already have my next two questions. And the first one is one, your relocation to the US. It would be good to hear. I'm sure people will be curious to know, how did you land your job? How did you, what was it like, getting a job in the US? That's the first question. And if anybody is considering also moving to the US, what should they prepare for? And what are those skills that would be relevant for them before making that move? I think we should take that first before I take the next one.
All right. Thanks for that question. So I think I get asked that question a lot, from people that are close to me. And I also recently watched your own answer to that question.
Yeah.
So, like all of us, we never really wanted to leave Nigeria. Me, for one, I didn't want to leave. I had a very good job, just like you, and
Mm-hmm.
I was growing, maybe at mid-level management already, and I really did not want to leave. But I made a very grave mistake, a career mistake. I left telecoms because I started my career in telecoms, and I was in telecoms for about 10 years. So I think the ninth or 10th year, I left telecoms for personal reasons, and then I joined one of the federal agencies. I
Mm-hmm.
don't want to say the name, but
Yeah,
one of the
that's fine.
federal agencies in Nigeria, and I already knew what to expect, but it was even worse. I wasn't used to the way they work there, and then it was a lot of frustration for me. So I didn't like the public sector. I wanted to go back to the private sector, and it was not. really easy for me. So I was just like, no, I'm not the kind of person that would just, I really didn't get much to do there. That was the problem.
Yeah.
I'm a big doer, and it wasn't happening there for me. So I had to just check out. So my best option was, I was rounding up an MBA in Nigeria then. And then I was just like, and then it was in the middle of COVID, and then I was getting delays from the school where I was doing my MBA. I was just like, oh, I better go start another MBA. So
Yeah.
I just took off to the US to start another MBA. So I have like 2 MBAs now.
Solid.
So that's how I relocated to the US. And I think I came to US in total with like 14 years experience in telecoms and IT. So that helped me a lot. I had a pretty much good work experience. And right after graduating from my MBA, it wasn't really difficult for me to get a job. So I would say in the US, they appreciate talent. So far you can deliver. You know what you're doing. You just I don't think you have much problem. And
Yeah.
and it wasn't really difficult for me to say. It's all by the grace of God to land my job. I have an amazing job. I love it. In telecoms, which I've always been and done.
Yeah.
So it was not really difficult for me because I came with the work experience.
Yeah. Yeah. And would you say that the jobs are there? The jobs are available. So it is, because again, you can't have the experience, have the talents, but then the economy basically is not needing that particular skill. So does it matter whether you have X number of years experience, or does it matter that you're also keening into the shortage occupation in the country?
So I think in my own field, which is telecoms engineering, there's a whole lot of jobs. There are jobs available. So far, you have the experience, and it also depends on you. So I think if you look at my resume, you would notice the first thing that would catch your attention is that I have done different things. I'm a naturally curious person, and I can get bored easily. So like I want to tap knowledge here. Once I'm done tapping knowledge, I'm looking for the next thing to do. So I would call it like continuous improvement. I'm always learning, looking for the next thing to do. So there's hardly anything in telecoms that I don't have an idea of or know or how to find my way around it. So that really helped me a lot. So because now I'm doing program management, so what it means is that I can work in any of the business units, because I do radio, I do content work. I'm that flexible. So it depends on who you are, and honestly, I would say there are more jobs in the US than Nigeria, a whole lot more. So the economy also helped a bit because they have what would I say, technically sound people in the US as well. But the immigrants that are coming, people like myself coming in as students, or people that are just moving in on work visas, they are at an advantage because there's a whole lot of work to tap into, or opportunities, I would say, to tap into.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I think the second question I wanted to ask, which is an offshoot of the first response you gave, is you being in a male-dominated, field. You said you've been an engineer all your life. You're doing tech. You're doing, now program management. Have you always wanted roles, like that? How did it start for you? How did you, because again, if I hear, and this I'm speaking about myself, if I hear engineering, I would think twice, because I would just believe, man, they'll be reading a lot.
Yeah. Unconscious bias.
Unconscious bias, and I would just sort of say, no, my brain can be wired in that way. So the question is, have you always known that you will be this techie person, or be in this space, or how did it begin for you? How did you find yourself in this field?
Yes. I never planned to be an engineer, and I just found myself in computer engineering. So my mom kind of like she has a very very uh, she had a very big influence on me and my siblings. I'm from a home of like five girls. So right from where we were small, my mom kind of like told everybody like, "Oh, you will be a doctor, you will be a pharmacist." That's how my mom. That's how my mom is. Yeah,
This will always make me laugh.
yeah, yeah.
Like,
Because
don't even think about it. You're a lawyer. You don't
yeah,
even think.
right from when we were very young. So you would even grow up with the mindset like, okay, I'm going to be a doctor, and that's how it happened for almost every one of us.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she was a teacher for many years. So at the beginning of maybe when we were in primary school, elementary school, she would be the one to help us with homeworks and everything. We never really started having lesson teachers till when it got to maybe like the physics, chemistry parts that she couldn't really handle. But she was the one that used to teach us all the maths, English, and everything because she was a teacher in a secondary school in Nigeria herself. So she knew our strengths. She had two of my siblings say, "Oh, you people, you cannot do sciences. It is arts that you're going to do. You are going to the arts or the commercial class." And then the three others, she said we were good in maths and sciences, and she already said those three were going to be. She said myself and my elder sister were going to be doctors, and then the third one she said she was going to be a pharmacist. So for me, I it was just like the university. I didn't get medicine. She wanted me to be a doctor, but I didn't get medicine. So they went for the second. The way we used to do jam, then you had like a first
Yeah,
option,
yeah.
second option. Yeah,
First choice, second option. Yeah.
yeah. That's it. I think it's called choice. So
Yeah.
they just gave me engineering, and then that's how I landed in computer engineering. And then she was just like, no, 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 I wanted you to be a medical doctor. But when I started it, I also had that unconscious bias, like, oh, engineering. And I read engineering in the north. It was filled with boys. My class was filled with boys. I think we
I
were,
can
by the
imagine.
time we graduated, we had just about like 10 girls in
Wow.
my class. Yeah, it was just like 90% male. But the best, I would say, like, you have the female engineers are the best of engineers because you are always being challenged. You are in the middle of trying to prove yourself,
Yeah.
and you just naturally get good at it because
Yeah.
you're always being challenged by your male colleagues or by your
Yeah.
bosses, expecting more from you. You always want to say, oh, because I'm a woman doesn't mean I cannot do this. You put in double the effort.
Yeah.
So I've met fantastic female engineers. I myself, I would call myself one. So
Yeah.
I do not have any regrets, eventually reading engineering. I absolutely loved it in school, practicing it, and up until now.
Yeah. Brilliant. Very, very good to hear. Thank you for sharing that. And, I like taking a step back to our childhood experiences, our upbringing. We've touched a little bit on that with, your mom basically defining for you the courses you would study based on your strength. In the course of your responses, I hear things like, I'm a doer, I continue to learn, I'm very curious. These are not traits or attributes that fall on you. These are things that either experiences or environments has sort of shaped. What can you attribute in your upbringing, to these qualities that you have? I'm curious, I'm always learning. What do you think can take the credit, or who do you think can take the credit for this mindset that you have that has helped you grow, in life and in career?
Good question. Beautiful, beautiful question. I would give the credit to two people in my life, and that's my mom and our mom. Like I would jokingly say, the mother that mothered me, and then the one that mothered my mother. Oh my God! So my grandmom is late, and then my mom, they are just, they're fantastic women. I'm from a lineage of women doers. I grew up seeing strong women. My own grandmom, she wasn't educated, but there was absolutely nothing she wouldn't do. I grew up seeing her. She was a businesswoman. She would do mathematics or arithmetic calculations from my brain with the Yoruba Yoruba words. She would calculate things that I would naturally bring out the calculator to do. She would, mentally calculate and give you the answers. She had so many businesses. She was like a contractor. She was in construction. She was in sales. She was doing a whole lot of stuff. And she was married to a very wealthy person, and that didn't stop her, from, she wasn't laid back and say, oh, my husband, is rich, I don't have to do stuff. So I think, and same thing with my mom. My mom is a doer up until now. She is still a doer. She is not laid back. So I think she passed that to myself and siblings, and I naturally, or I just cannot relate with why anywhere women are, why they would never be in front doing stuff. So because I grew up seeing, these two women, doing very well in whatever they lay their hands on. So they just passed that on to me. So it just came naturally to me from my lineage, I would say, from the DNA.
That's brilliant, sis. That's indeed brilliance. And this touches on how we can create influence, strong influence without knowing. I'm sure at that point when your grandma was doing all these things, I'm sure she wasn't doing it for you to see so that you can go ahead and do it. She was doing it because that's who she is.
Yeah.
Your mom took that on and she started doing it because that's who she is. And then you took it on as well.
Yeah.
And my question is, I is a beautiful girl, how is she handling this big baton that you will be passing to her? Is she already feeling like, hey, you guys, let me breathe? Or she has just agreed, to receive the baton and run with it?
Well, I think in the family, you just do not have a choice. Like, you're just surrounded by so much greatness and success. You absolutely do not have a choice. So for her, I would say sometimes she feels pressured because I, for one, I would call myself a tough parent. And anytime I'm seeing that she's just like a little bit, falling behind, I just be like, oh, I refer to her aunties, refer to this, refer to that, like, oh, you have no choice. You just gotta do good. You just gotta, So I would say she knows what the expectations are. She knows that the bar is set up really high, and I'm also helping her. Just like my mom did. I'm using some of the things I saw my mom did with us that worked for us. I'm doing the same thing with her. Making sure that I'm on top of what she's doing in school, her assignments, her grades, and everything. Also looking at what her strengths are. Just like my mom identified that, oh, you're good in maths, you're good in sciences. I'm doing the same thing with her, and, guiding her towards what her career would be. So I would say the thing I'm doing a bit differently is, things are not the way that they were for us. Things are a bit different now. We want to have like rounded kids, not only in academics. There were things I did not learn from home that I had to learn. There are things you gotta learn on the streets. I don't want her to learn those things from the streets. I want her to learn them from the home. So we do a lot of talking. She calls me a motivational speaker. I didn't have much of that with my mom. She was just big on academics. So I'm doing a bit better with that. I tell her about lifestyle things I learned late. I want to make sure she's learning that early. So we do a lot of pep talks, I would call that. And also I'm trying to engage her a lot in like maybe clubs and sports in school. My mom taught physical and health education. She used to do sports a lot with, she was like the sports teacher in her secondary school. But, for us, she never really focused on sports with her own kids. I did a little bit of volleyball in school, but I push my daughter now to do. She does volleyball. She did a bit of football. She likes cheerleading. I just want to raise like an all-rounder kid.
Yeah.
You know, way better than I was raised.
Oh. Oh. I was gonna ask if you find parenting a bit difficult in US. I think generally in the Western world. Do you think parenting is more difficult than back home? So how do you find, because you've done both, parenting in Nigeria and parenting here, outside the opportunities that are here, which you're exposing her to, how more difficult it is, or is it just normal? It doesn't matter. I just want to hear your perspective on, or could it be, is there an age where it gets tougher? If they are still young, can you still ship them, or is best you bring them in here when they are much older because you've taught them the values and all those things back from Nigeria, and then here is just them implementing what they've been taught? I just want to have an idea of how parenting is like for you.
Well, the first thing I would say is, no, it's not normal. It is different. It is different. Raising kids in Nigeria and raising kids in the US, it's totally different, and it's also challenging, I must say. In the US, there's a lot of stuff they would call like normal, like it's far from normal from us. With us, I would say. So I think for me, my daughter came here when she was 11, so she had maybe like a foundation or a background, and then luckily for her, I wasn't the only one that raised her. She was raised by a whole lot of people. She was like a first grandchild in the family. She was raised by her grandparents, her aunties. She was raised by a village, so she had like a very good foundation. So when we came here, unfortunately for me, it was that formative, when they're getting smart, going into the teenage years. So it was a bit challenging for me because, I can control what happens and how I'm raising her in the house. But then she goes to school, she makes friends, and I became that, at some point I thought I was losing it because I didn't understand. It was like I came with a baby, and then at some point, I don't know if you experienced that with your boys. So it was confusing for me. I was practically screaming like, no, I want my baby back. What is happening? I just want my baby back. And that's because, she started making friends, and then she was just like growing. And then it took me a while to just agree like, okay, she's great. She's getting older. She's going to be doing things differently because, she's my first and only child. And it was a lot of confusion for me. So the major difference I would point out is, getting the help of family back home. When you're correcting a child here, it's just like it's only you. When you're correcting a child back home, you're correcting your child. The grandparents are correcting the child.
Something.
Yeah. The teachers, even the teachers in school can correct the child. That doesn't happen here because they don't even have laws that make them, get into personal stuff like that. So the child is not only hearing that correction from you, she's hearing it from multiple people, which can be more impactful for her, right? Yeah. But here, you have to do the work. You have to be on top of, you have to watch the kind of friends, they're keeping. You have to watch what they're doing with their devices. It's more difficult. And nothing is really being regulated here. There's just a whole lot of information available to everybody. I think it's the same thing in Nigeria though, but I think the exposure here is just a bit wild.
It's wild.
Yes. And as a parent, you just have to do double the work. You have to do double the work. So it depends. It depends on, how conscious of a parent you are and, what you want to achieve with your child. So this raising a child here is a full-time job compared to Nigeria. It's tougher, I would admit.
Yeah. I completely agree with you, to be honest. I think, those teenage years are, if you don't handle those years well, you could lose them.
Yeah.
Because it would look like they're not listening to you. You're not also listening to them.
Mm-hmm.
And this place makes it more difficult.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot, they are always being asked in school, do you want to talk to a counselor? Are you okay? And they would also even say that you can't talk to a counselor and you won't get back to your parents. Like trying to give them comfort to say whatever.
Yes.
So you are mindful about, they throw around the word mental health. You're mindful about you saying something and then they go back to say, what, my mental health is affected because my mom or my dad screamed at me.
Mm-hmm.
What we would say back home or what we will see as normal. This is me correcting you.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think age matters. When people tell me they want to relocate, I tell them don't look at the positives alone. You should also be ready for the downsides because it is there. Raising children here in the UK, in the US, any Western world is difficult. And it is largely because of the exposure we just talked about. So you are not alone. You are not alone. And it makes our work also more difficult because you know what you want for them. You're guiding them. And I also believe that if you bring them in at a very, they're not young. You bring them at a certain age, say like 10 upward. They already have some sense, in quotes. So they don't come here and start forming everything from the beginning. So the beliefs are sort of, fighting with each other. So if they hear something, they'll be like, but mommy, you said, and then you can correct them that what you heard now is it doesn't work. It is what I said that,
Yeah.
So I totally agree with you. So now let's move to a topic that I really like talking about, which is work-life balance. You are very hands-on. I remember sharing a project idea with you sometimes back, and the speed at which you start talking about it, and and you kept on saying, see, I am ready to do the work. So when you say I'm a doer, I see it, I know it. When you say you're very hands-on, with your daughter, I know it is true. When you say that, your job and all that, I know everything. I know that you are 100% involved and you want to win in the different areas of life. How do you take care of yourself? How do you unwind? How do you prioritize yourself? How do you make sure that this balance, because again, you can say, oh yeah, my work is going okay. I'm doing well with respect to raising my child. I'm doing well with, what about your health? What about your, spirituality, for example? What about your, personal development? How do you marry all these things together? And how do you just prioritize yourself at times to say, you know what, today it is all about me?
Okay, so unfortunately for me, that was something I learned a bit late. And I think I will remember joining Goal Cutters. One of my goals, my major goal for joining Goal Cutters was work-life balance. Because I saw that I paid attention to, career a lot more than my own, personal life. And then there was no actual balance there. So I've been working on that, and I would say I'm doing a lot better. So what I do is it's just the time. It's just the time. We just have to be very conscious of how we spend our time. I know, Debola, you have a beautiful career yourself. You've worked in fantastic companies, and you can really get caught up with deliverables at work, and that would, even on weekends, that would be what your mind would be on. I would say, unfortunately, but fortunately, I was in technical support for a very long time, which means I could be called even weekends. I've had times where I'll be attending, I remember when I was attending my best friend's wedding, I practically spent the whole of that wedding in the car on my laptop because I was attending to a traffic outage then. That was just basically what I used to do, someone cannot call, the SMS is failing something, I have to jump on it. And that was a bit difficult for me, which means like I had no control of my time. So when I stopped that role in technical support, it gave me some time to myself. And I started thinking, okay, I need to prioritize some stuff in my personal life and all that. Finances, health. And so I never really was someone that used to exercise, but now I exercise a lot, at least maybe 4 times in a week. I would go to the gym. I'm still trying to do better. And some weeks I don't even make that 4 times, but on the average, it's like maybe 4 days out of 7 days in a week. You will most likely find me in the gym. Or I do just like my daily routine. Even if I can step out of my house, I just do it in the house. So I do that a lot. And then I also, I'm talking about my health now, how I prioritize things about my health. I watch what I eat. I eat only once in a day. And yeah, I eat only once in a day. Yes. I almost always do not eat dinner. So I will eat either a very large breakfast or lunch, and that would be it for the day. So maybe in the night, I just like take fruits or a salad. I almost do not eat anything. It's just, I'm not a eater. I don't really have feelings for food. So I eat only, I just eat only because I don't want to collapse or something. So that
I don't have feelings for food.
No, I don't. I see people get excited when they see food, and I'm just like,
I get excited when I see food.
Yeah, when I see food, I'm already looking at, what is that? Oh no, I don't want to eat that. What's that? That's how I feel like. No. So that helps me a lot. In being very mindful of what I take. So I exercise, I'm also big on vitamins now. I take vitamins a lot. I struggle with sleep a bit. So I do a lot of vitamins that make me sleep better. And then I will also move to like maybe personal development. I always have a thing or two that I want to achieve before the end of the year, personally for myself, just outside of career. So I always have that, and then I make sure I work towards it and achieve it before the year ends. It's everything still kind of like ties back together, but we cannot pay too much attention to the career, and then we make our personal lives, suffer. I'm also working better with, being a better friend, a better cousin, a better sister. That's with family and friends. So just trying to strike a balance. And I also, what can I say again? I don't think I reach as much as you do, but I try. I try as well to read. When I'm reading, it's mostly because I have exams. I do a lot of exam certifications. I'm always looking for the next thing to do. So I do a lot of that. But now I'm reading books, and some of the ones you recommended. I think I got a couple of them, and I'm reading them. So I don't know if that counts or if that answers your question correctly.
No, it does. Honestly, when we say time, I saw a video of Stephen Bartlett. Of course, you should know I would mention Stephen Bartlett because you keep dragging him with me. You and Jumai. You and Jumai, but you don't like trouble. Yeah, sweet as always. He said, I leave you guys to him. I don't want trouble. Jumai likes trouble. Okay. I saw a video where he says we all have, like, life is like, how did you call it? 24 hours is like 24 poker chips. And how we spend these 24, poker chips in the roulette of life defines our outcomes in life. So if you put, and again, he said, once you wake up in the morning, you're left with 16 because you've slept 8 out of the 24 hours. How you place that 16 matters a lot. And sometimes when I see people that are prioritizing only work and business, I imagine them putting a large portion of the remaining 16 poker chips on their career and work. But what that means also is that you don't have enough left to commit to other areas of life. And I'm always reminded that wealth is not just material, relationships, having strong community, strong network, having good health, having good health. All those things sometimes are indicators that we are wealthy. It's not just a facts, bank account. So it's always very, important to not neglect this part of our lives. And I really like that you also mentioned while time is a constraint, you're also still trying to, ensure that you juggle all the balls and nothing falls, which is really good to know. To be honest with you, I'm beginning to struggle with sleep myself. I think I'm putting my head into so many things. Before now, I would go to bed at 10, and I wouldn't wake up until 6. But now I find myself sleeping late. But because I am aware, I am always looking for how to, compensate for that lost sleep, even if it means being in bed till about 7 sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah,
we get there. We're all a work in progress.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's just that consciousness. That's what we need. Intentionality, consciousness. Let's not just forget ourselves in the course of, chasing our career, or forget ourselves in the course of taking care of everybody around us and forgetting that we ourselves need to be taken care of.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for this time. I believe if someone listens to this, they will take from this session what they need to do if they ever intend to relocate to the US, the fields that, continue to have jobs available to them. If you're coming with a child or, children, you have to prepare in advance to be very hands-on. This is not a place where, in Nigeria, the village, basically raises your child. It doesn't happen like that here. You're left to your parenting, and you have to take it very seriously. I really loved, how you have taken, big learnings from your mom and your grandmom to basically say, you know what, we are doers. I'm from a family of doers, because I can tell you for free that some people would have people around them doing all those things, but they just cannot bring themselves to do it because for whatever reason, it's not just them. You have to continue to advise, continue to encourage, but you just saw it and then you picked up the baton and ran with it. So that is indeed very good. So if anybody listens to this, I think what they would take out of the session is immense, and they can also use that or apply that to their own lives so that they can make huge and big difference in their lives. And is there anything you would like to touch on that I have probably not asked, that you believe it would benefit somebody who is currently listening to this episode?
Okay, I would probably talk about maybe my values, the values that have really helped me in my life and growth and everything. I would first of all talk about knowing who you are. I have always been challenged. Unfortunately, met people that would want to undermine you or kind of like underestimate you, but like it could also be from the kind of parents that raised me. They raised like an audaciously confident person. Like, you cannot tell me who I am. I can let you have your day and just talk, but No one,
Yeah.
absolutely no one has an influence. Me,
Yeah.
if I
Yeah.
detect
I
it,
like that.
I
I
know
like that.
exactly who I am. I know what my capabilities are, and I'm not ashamed, to work on, the things I'm trying to get better on.
I
So
love that.
I
I
think
love that.
that's very important. That's something I tell my daughter every day. You don't allow people to find you. You have to know who you are. Somebody, when someone is talking about Debola, they have to say, "Oh, is it Debola? Oh, leave it. She can handle that. She would absolutely smash that. She
Yeah.
would deliver."
Yeah.
That's knowing who you are, and then one way or the other, the people you've worked with or the people around you have seen you for who you are.
Yeah.
So that's something that has really helped me, and it's helped me in challenging times as well. For the period of phases in life where I found myself, it was just for a little period of time, that I
Yeah.
found myself, not doing as I'm supposed to do. I knew it was just for a
Mm-hmm.
short period of time, and then I was going to get back to that person because I know at
Yeah.
this period, this is not who I am. I'm going somewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm also big on integrity and honesty,
Mm.
and that has a you know. I recently found out that has its own disadvantage, and you
Oh,
just
wow.
have to be very very. I would say you have to be very very careful.
Mm.
If you're someone that do not joke with integrity and honesty, it's not everyone that wants
Yeah.
your honest feedback.
Yeah.
You have to be very very mindful of the way you deliver honest feedbacks. Like
Yeah.
everybody, they want to say like, oh, I like honest people. No, people don't like honest people.
They don't want to hear the truth.
Yeah, they don't want to hear the truth. So you have to know
Yeah.
you're not lying, but your mode of delivery, the food, you have to be wise about it.
Yeah.
Those are values I would not really joke with. I also love authenticity. I like authentic people. But I know you're someone that you're so authentic. You wear your hearts on your sleeve. We can see. Just looking at your WhatsApp status, I can actually feel excitement when you're excited. I love that. I always say, do not let that child in you die.
Yeah.
We're in our 40s, but if
Mm-hmm.
you want to be a toddler and play today, we can as well do that.
Yeah.
So I like living a very authentic life. It
Yeah.
just it brings you peace and calm.
I agree.
And yeah, so those are some just life qualities that have really
Yeah.
stuck on me and really helped me.
Oh, wow. You see
And
why
also,
you are.
I would also say I'm a very determined person. I would call myself like I'm unyielding.
Yeah.
Whatever I need or want, I go for it. I do not
Mm-hmm.
take no for an answer. Is it
Mm-hmm.
Kamala Harris that said like I eat no for breakfast? I think I'm like
Wow.
that too.
Yeah.
Work, you tell me no. Oh, I'm going to someone else, probably your boss or your colleague. I'm going to go get my yes. I don't take no for an answer. So some people might not like it, but
Yeah.
that's just who I am. I'm very determined. Whatever I set my mind to, you better believe I'm achieving it.
Oh no, I love that. I love that. You see why I am connected with you. You are not leaving my circle forever,
No, I'm
because
so sorry about that.
no, I am like a leech, I'm at the back of your neck. I think we've said this a couple of times to each other that we sort of have the same values. The things that are most important to me are also very important to you. And sometimes it's really scary when you find another you,
Yes.
another you somewhere.
Mhm.
You're saying something and the person is basically saying, yeah, that's me too. Yeah, that's me too. You're like, am I sure this is not my twin sister or something?
And people, it's not just what we're talking about here. We have a whole lot of things in common, and it's
Yes,
just crazy.
it is, and scary. But what I like is that, and what I believe is that we attract
Who we
people
are.
like us.
Mhm.
Yes, we attract who we are. If you notice on Go Quarters as well, the people there are people that are, I cannot say much about, their personal values, but there are people that want the same thing. They want to give back. They want to travel. They want to continue to learn. They want to continue to focus on work-life balance. And I continue to say this is a reflection of who I am, because people would naturally just tilt towards people like them. Yeah. So I am really happy to have you in my circle. And I want to say a big thank you for this interview. I know I'm going to get a lot of questions, and I'm going to throw the questions to you. Once I receive, I'm going to throw the questions to you.
Absolutely. And, I'm very happy to take questions.
Yes. And I'm really, really happy that I found you. I don't know if I found you, you found me. Anyway, I'm so happy we found each other. And I am praying that we continue to grow in career, in life, we continue to experience joy, because I think at the end of the day, it's about having that peace of mind and joy in everything that we do. And I really, really look forward to having this interview again. Like I always say, in another 2 years or 3 years, or, and at that time, we will be referring to this interview and we will say, oh, at that time, I had not done XXX. Now I have done that. And these are the things that I have taken, or these are the things that I have done to be able to achieve this. And it will be good to celebrate, our growth story together. So thank you so much for being here with me today.
Thank you so much, Debola. I am looking forward to tomorrow with you, next week with you, next year, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, always reflecting and getting better. So, yes. And if I haven't told you, I'm telling you for the second, third, or probably the 10th time, you are someone that, inspired me a lot. And I think your book on Clip Your Wings was one of the things. I listened to Juma's interview as well. And I absolutely love that book has so much impact on a whole lot of people. It did for me. And I met you while you were still gold digging, one of those your seminars and all that. So I think the actual connection we had was through the book.
Yeah.
So I'm so proud of you. I'm proud of your achievements, proud of your career, proud with what you're doing with Goal Cutters, and you have a whole lot of impact on me. Thank you very much, Debola, for everything you do. And absolutely, thank you for having me here. I've listened to brilliant people you've had on this, or one or more of these episodes, and it's a privilege to join the list of those names.
I'm so happy to have you. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Now and forever. All right, my darling sis. Take care of yourself.
All right, bye. I will. Bye. Enjoy the rest of the day.
Yeah, you too.